about radiation pattern. Now, I said it is a function of the amplitude versus theta and phi. Now, why do you think there should be a radiation pattern? Can anybody answer? Why do you think there should be a radiation pattern? Why do you think there should be a radiation pattern for an antenna? I mean, there should be some pattern. Why? The reason is, see, if you say vary theta and phi, you get different points on the surface of the sphere. If you start varying theta and phi, keeping r constant, you get different points on the surface of a sphere. Now, each point will not see an identical source condition. Each point will not see an identical source or condition. So that's why the electric field at every point will be different. Do you understand this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So each point will not see an identical. So electric field is dependent on the source. Source is the current flowing in the antenna. So every point will not see an identical situation as far as the source is concerned. So the electric field will vary from point to point. That's why we get a pattern. Electric field, when we vary theta and phi, the points on the surface of the sphere keeps on changing. Okay, and each point will not see an identical source condition. Source condition means the source which generates that field. Okay, so that's why the electric field at every point should vary. So that's why we get a pattern. Okay, is it clear?
Yes,
hello. Okay. Now, yesterday we were discussing sine theta and sine squared theta. Now, which is more directional in this case, sine theta or sine squared theta?
Sine square theta, sir.
Why it is more directional in sine squared theta?
There is only one major lobe.
Yeah, sine theta also has one major lobe in the one major lobe. Why sine squared theta is more directional?
All of the energy is put in one direction in sine square theta.
Sine squared
Only
theta.
one direction.
Yes, sine squared theta, the beam is more pointed. The half power beam width is narrow. Half power beam width is narrow compared to sine theta. Half power beam width of sine theta. Half power beam width of sine squared theta is narrower compared to half power beam width. Do you understand that? So if it is more directional, half power beam width will be less. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is a omnidirectional antenna? One plane we have isotropic pattern and other plane we have directional pattern. I told you which are those planes. Okay. So sine theta or sine squared theta, cos squared theta, these are all omnidirectional patterns. Okay. Do you understand? Because it is independent of phi. It is independent of phi. Only theta. In the theta is equal to constant plane, you will get a circle if you draw the pattern. Okay. So we will move to the, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will see field regions. I was telling you that the pattern that we draw is always in the very far away distance. So now is that distance, can that be this thing? Far away distance means there should be some limits to that. What is the far off distance? How much distance from the antenna? Okay. So we are discussing something known as field regions. See, there is an antenna and you have drawn the two circles, one with radius R1 and one with radius R2. Now, what is R1 and R2 is also mentioned in the slide. R1 and R2 is also mentioned in the slide. R1 is equal to 0.62 square root of d cubed by lambda and R2 is 2 d square by lambda. So this gives a rough indication of the distance of the what is so this will give the divide the region around the antenna. So one is the region within R1, radius R1 is called the reactive near field region. So between R1 and R2, whatever region you find, that is called Fresnel region, radiating near field Fresnel region, and beyond R2 it is the far field region or Fraunhofer region. So you got an idea what is meant by far field right now. Okay, what is D? D is the largest dimension of the antenna. This is a rough indication.
I think, sir. Hello. Excuse me, sir.
Sir, you have been muted, sir.
Tell me.
I think, sir, the slide is stuck to the omnidirectional pattern only.
Slide? What slide? No, this has nothing. This has nothing to do with the pattern. I have an antenna. This has nothing to do with the pattern. Do you understand? There is an antenna at the center of dimension D, largest dimension D. This is nothing to do with the pattern. Do you understand? Hello?
Sir, my screen is, sir, the slide is stuck on omnidirectional pattern.
How come? I am having a different.
So same here, sir.
Yes, same here, sir, as well.
Sir, yes, sir, our screens are stuck there.
Sir, I think, sir, you should
I am
reshare the
not seeing
slide once
anything,
more.
sir.
How to get out of this situation? Tell me how.
Sir, you reshare your screen once more.
Stop sharing and then again share, sir.
Oh, then I think I have to get this thing. Only I should be the presenter, no? I have to reshare, or I should be the only presenter like that? I have to reshare, is it? Okay, I'll reshare.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, now
Yes, sir.
Yeah, field regions. Okay, sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, field regions, you see in this PP slide, you can see an antenna, dipole antenna maybe, okay? And a dimension, largest dimension is mentioned, what is D? D is the largest dimension of the antenna. So around the antenna, the space is divided into three regions. The innermost region is called near field region. Now it is within a sphere of radius R1. Okay, and the middle between so region between R2 and R1, that part is Fresnel region, near field region, radiating near field region or Fresnel region. And beyond R2, it is far field region or Fraunhofer region. Okay. Now what is R1? It is, and R2 is given in the slide. R1 is equal to 0.62 square root of D cubed by lambda, and R2 is 2D square by lambda. Okay. So have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now yesterday I was telling far off region. We are interested in far off region. Now what is the limit for that far off region? That's what is being, you can understand from this. So beyond R2, it is the far off region. It is treated as far off region. Okay. Now some this thing about so the space surrounding an antenna is usually divided into three regions: reactive near field region, radiating near field region, Fresnel region, and far field Fraunhofer region. Okay, this is the near field region, reactive near field region, radiating field Fresnel region, and the far field region. So this is the far field up to infinity. Okay. Now reactive near field portion of the near field region immediately surrounding the antenna where the reactive field predominates. Reactive field. So when you find out the expression for power, okay, when you find the expression for power at the different points, you will see that it will have a real part and an imaginary part. when you derive the expression for power around an antenna, power density or E into H is power density, power per unit per meter square. Okay, when you derive the expression for power density, or there will be a real part and an imaginary part. In the near field region, the reactive field dominates. Okay, and the real power is almost zero. In the reactive region, near field region, this region, the power is more of J. What is reactive? The J term is there. The term with the J, the term expression for power term with the J, whatever is coming is the reactive part. Okay, J. You know that, no? Complex notation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the power, when you divide expression, J part will be dominant. So the real power will be almost zero. We will find out that. Okay, we will find out that. And in the Fresnel region, what happens is the radiating field or the real power dominates. Radiating is real. When you say radiating field, or when you see the radiation pattern, radiation field, we refer to real power. Okay. So in the Fresnel region, that is in between region, the reactive part dominates. The real part dominates compared to the imaginary part. Okay, and in the far off region, it is only real. The reactive part is almost zero. Do you understand? We will derive this. We will study this in 4th chapter. How it is reactive, how it is the radiating near field region, why the real power is dominant, and in the far off region it's only real power. We will see that in the 4th chapter. So have you got it now? So at radiation pattern, actually we took points in the far off region. We took different points on the far off region. Radiating pattern we study in the far off region. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear?
Sir, when we say that the reactive power dominates, can we do actual work from it?
No. It is not dissipative. Real power is only dissipative. You can just reactive power. It is like storing energy in a capacitor. You don't consume capacitor. See, VI cos theta. In a capacitor, voltage and current relationship are 90 degrees. So J term comes. So it is it is not dissipative. Real only. So whenever J terms comes, it is not real power. Okay, what we are in the far off region, we get only real power. Reactive power is not there. We will. So you may be more curious about this, but you hold on your curiosity for now. We will study this in 4th chapter again.
Okay, sir.
So can I go to the next slide? So now, so reactive near field, I told, portion of the near field region immediately surrounding the antenna, where reactive field predominates. Radiating near field, Fresnel region, it's called Fresnel region of the field of an antenna between the reactive near field region and far off field region, where radiation field predominates and angular field distribution is independent upon the distance from the antenna. So R is between 0.632 square root of d cubed by lambda and 2d square by lambda. So that region, okay, that is a Fresnel region. I told something about radiation pattern that we will see in the next slide. Okay, in the far off region, Fraunhofer region, in this region the field distribution is independent of the distance from the antenna. In the far field region, in this region, the field distribution is independent of the distance from the antenna. Field components are essentially transverse, and angular distribution is independent of the radial distance from the antenna. Field components are essentially transverse. What do you mean by that? Yesterday I told you, field components are essentially transverse. In the far off region, field components are essentially transverse. What do you mean by that?
So E and H field are perpendicular to each other.
Not like that. There is no R component. See, power is propagating in the R component, no R direction. Power is propagating in the R direction. So field components are transverse. That means ER or HR is 0. ER or HR, yesterday I told you, ER or HR is 0. Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
And the angular field distribution is independent of the radial distance. I told you the pattern, the power may vary from R to different values of R, but pattern will not change in the far off region. Pattern, the shape of the pattern. Okay, shape of the pattern will not change, but power level will vary. Pattern does not depend on power level. Okay, for a fixed R, theta and phi when you vary, you get a pattern, and this pattern does not vary with R. That is very important. You should know that always. So next slide. Radiating a Fresnel region for this I discussed. Reactive near field. Phases of the electric magnetic discussion about the reactive near field. Reactive near field. Phases of electric and magnetic fields are often near quadrature, thus high reactive wave impedance. High content of non-propagating stored energy near the antenna. High content of non-propagating stored energy near the antenna. Radiating near field. Fields are predominantly in phase. Fields do not yet display a spherical wavefront. Thus, pattern varies with the distance. Pattern varies with the distance. Region where near field measurements are made. Region where near fields measurements are made. Okay, can I change this? Go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
Predominantly in phase in the near field. Okay, when you see the pattern, how it varies with distance, you will come to know. Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. R field. The field exhibits a spherical wavefront. What do you mean by a spherical wavefront? See, when wave propagates from the antenna, if you take fixed R, you get a sphere, right? Fixed R. At fixed R, the phase the phase angle has two terms. One is j omega theta. The theta phase angle is dependent on omega t, and second one is distance. Why it depends on distance? The wave takes a finite time to reach in the point R, so there will be a delay. And what is that delay? JKR. Do you understand? KR. 2K, what is K? 2 pi by lambda. You have studied that in EMW. Wave propagation. When it propagates, the phase angle at a point depends on, one is omega t, that naturally will be there. Okay, theta is omega t, and time as well as distance. Now it is propagating, taking a time to reach point R, distance R. So there is a phase delay. So the phase delay contributed by that distance is JKR. What is K? 2 pi by lambda into R. What is that 2 pi by lambda into R? See, for 2 pi, sorry, 1 second. See here, lambda, a propagation of distance of 1 lambda is equal to phase change of 2 pi. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here distance is R. So what is the phase change? 2 pi by lambda. 2 pi by lambda. 2 pi by lambda into R. Phase change, no? See here. Lambda is 2 pi. R is for the distance propagation of R. The phase change is 2 pi by lambda into R. Do you get it? Hello? See.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is this 2 pi by lambda? 2 pi by lambda is k. In this expression you can see here. See this k, kr, k is what? 2 pi by lambda. So the phase contribution, what is e to the power of minus jkr? That is the phase contribution due to the delay. Phase of the electric field contribution due to delay. There is another contribution to phase, that is j omega t. 2 pi by t into t. Do you understand that? Hello?
Yes,
Okay. So field exhibits a spherical wavefront. Now what do you mean by spherical wavefront? See, if you consider time is constant, for a fixed r is surface of a sphere, the phase of the electric field at all points will be the same due to phase for a fixed time. Okay, for a fixed time, if you fix r, so all points on the surface of the sphere will have the same phase. So that's why it is called spherical wavefront. Why it is called wave is called spherical wavefront. You have studied plane wave. Plane wave. All points on the surface of this plane will have same phase. You have studied wave propagation in the last class, EMW. Okay. So here, if you see now, does the field not dependent on does the field, electric field is function of only theta and phi? No, it is function of theta and phi, but also r. Now, what is the variation with respect to r? Variation with respect to r is e raised to the power of minus jkr by r. That means electric field is inversely proportional to the distance. Electric field amplitude is inversely proportional to the distance. So r is in the denominator, and e to the power of minus jkr is the phase change due to that distance. The wave has to travel that distance. Okay, so field exhibits spherical wavefront. I hope all of you understood what is spherical wavefront.
yes, sir.
Yeah, do you understand? Did you understand spherical wavefront? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Does the pattern ideally does see this 1 by r, it is not a directional does not contribute to the directive of the pattern. If the r variation with respect to r is that electric field or magnetic field variation in the far field region, variation with respect to r is given by e raised to the power minus jkr by r. Okay, so that is so naturally power will reduce if you move far away from the antenna, because 1 by r term is there, power will reduce. But the pattern will not dependent on r, because the variation with respect to r is only e raised to the power minus jkr by r. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then electric and magnetic fields are in phase. Because if it is in phase only, the power will be real. If it is not in phase, there will be some real part and some reactive part. Electric and magnetic fields are in phase. Okay, that's why in phase. So in phase means the phase angle between electric field and magnetic field will be 0. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Wave impedance is ideally real. Wave impedance is E by H, ideally real. When E and H are in same phase, E by H is also real. Okay. Power predominantly real, propagating energy. Power predominantly real. I told you what is real power and reactive power. When you derive the expression for power, you may get a real term and an imaginary term. The imaginary term is the real reactive power. The real term is the real power. That is which is a dissipative, which is real power, which is seen in the dominant is mainly in the far field region. reactive power is zero, almost zero. We will see that. Now you have to hold on your curiosity for some time. Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you see a typical antenna, the far field region, the radiating near field region, and far field. Reactive near field region, he has divided. He has shown the pattern for field distribution. And so you can you understand from this? D is the dimension of the antenna. Here the distance. He has divided into three regions. Reactive near field region. See, this is this part up to this distance, and this is this much distance here. Between this to this is the Fresnel region, radiating near field. Far field region. In the reactive near field, the pattern is more spread out, nearly uniform. In the reactive near field region, you can see the pattern is more spread out and nearly uniform. Uniform means same value, almost constant value. In the radiating near field region, the pattern becomes too smooth. See, it becomes too smooth and forms lobes. So it forms lobes. In the far field region, the pattern is well formed. Pattern is well formed, consisting of major lobe and few minor lobes. So these are the minor lobes. This is the major lobe. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So our main interest will be in the far field region. In one particular chapter, we will just focus little bit on reactive field region and near field region. After that chapter, we never bother about the near field. We only study about far field region, because this is what important is. We should have as much spacing between the transmitting antenna and the receiving antenna. Then only we'll be efficient. We'll be saving in cost. Okay. So our main so we will try to place as far as away. We want to have a larger distance. So that is the reason why we study only in the far field region and not bother much about the near field and radiating near field regions. Pattern of parabolic reflection. So this is an antenna in a far off distance. He has varied R in this diagram. He has varied in this graph. He has varied R. You can see three values of R. R is equal to 2d square by lambda. This is where the far field region starts. R is equal to 2d square by lambda. R is equal to 4d square by lambda, and R is equal to infinity. You can see how the pattern is almost same. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now radian. You can understand what is 1 radian from this diagram. You draw a circle of radius r. Now this is the, if you on the circumference, if you choose an arc length r. Now whatever angle you get here is 1 r. That is circumference 1 radian. Radius of the arc is r, and the arc length is also r. So that is radian. So if you want to know what is used for the measure of phase angle, plane angle, 1 radian is defined as the plane angle with its vertex at the center of the circle of radius r that is subtended by an arc whose length is r. Okay. For a full circle, you have 2 pi r, so 2 pi radians. Next slide. Steradian, a solid angle. Now you see there are two types of angle. Two angles in a spherical coordinate system. One is theta and one is phi. So if you take a portion like this on the spherical surface, you actually you will see it is made up of two angles. One in the little bit on theta and something on phi. Something in the theta direction and something is the phi direction. So that it is called a solid angle. Solid angle. Now, like elemental area, like area and elemental area, you have elemental solid angle. Elemental solid angle is called d omega. This is elemental solid angle, d omega. Okay. Now, what is the expression for elemental solid angle? Elemental area divided by r square. Elemental area, you know. Elemental area of that elemental area is in a spherical coordinate system, r square sine theta d phi divided by r square. So elemental solid angle is equal to sine theta. The expression for elemental solid angle is sine theta d phi. Have you got it? So you can say elemental solid angle is elemental area with r equal to 1. Have you got it? Hello? Hello, have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
If you have any doubts, you have to tell me. I will explain once again. So, you know, complete sphere, if you want to get a complete sphere, the theta should vary from 0 to pi and phi should vary from 2 pi. Now, how do we get total solid angle in a sphere? What is total solid angle in a sphere? What is total solid? See, I said there are two angles. Now, steradian is the unit of solid angle. Okay, measure of solid angle. One steradian is defined as the solid angle with its vertex at the center of the sphere of radius r. That is subtended by a spherical surface area equal to that of a square with each side of length r. Okay, so see, I have some notes and I would like to share it to you because this PPT alone there is no explanation as such much. So I will take a PDF from my notes and then share it with you. You can also refer this PPT and the notes to get an idea. Hello?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, what is the solid angle in a sphere? How to find out the total solid angle in a sphere? See, sphere...
Sir, double integrate the limits.
So you have to integrate the elemental solid angle. You have to double integrate the elemental solid angle with the limits theta is equal to 0 to pi and phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi. So if you want to find out the total solid, you got an idea about the solid angle, right? You got an idea. There are two angles, theta and phi. So which comprises a solid angle. So we have to define something known as solid angle. So how do we define that solid angle? Solid angle, elemental solid angle is elemental area with the radius equal to 1. Radius equal to unity. So how do we get total solid angle in a sphere? You have to integrate elemental solid angle, limits 0, theta is equal to 0 to pi and phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi. So how much you get total solid angle in a sphere? How much do you think you get?
4 pi, sir.
Huh? How much?
4 pi.
Yes, right. 4 pi is the total solid angle in a sphere. For a sphere of radius r, now here is an exercise for you. Okay, for a sphere of radius r, find the solid angle omega a. That is called, this symbol is called omega a, capital omega a. In the square radians, so in square radians per steradian of a spherical cap on the surface of a sphere, over the North Pole is defined by spherical angles. Theta is equal to 0 to 30 degrees and phi is equal to 0 to 360 degrees. For refer figure 2.1 to do this. Find the total solid angle exactly, and using this formula you can find solid angle. So he has given the limits of theta and phi. Find out exactly. Now tell me, calculate and tell me exactly how will you do it. Total solid angle. Exactly how will you find out? You have to integrate. If you want to find out exactly, omega A, say omega A is equal to double integration. Here theta is equal to 0 to theta is equal to 0, theta is equal to 30 degrees. 30 degrees. And phi is equal to 0 to 360 degrees. D omega. Sin theta d phi. Okay, how much do you get?
Sir, 3.73 pi.
Okay. Let us verify that. You have said 3.7. You have calculated. Good. Thank you. Let us. That is the exact method. There is an approximate method. If you want to find out omega A, delta capital theta 1 into delta capital theta 2, where delta theta 1 and theta 2 are spherical, two perpendicular angular separations of the spherical cap passing through the North Pole. Compare the two. So if you have so what is delta theta 1? Can you tell me? What is see, in the phi is equal to constant plane, you can get two perpendicular planes. For you select two perpendicular planes. Phi is equal to constant plane, you select two perpendicular planes. Okay. So sin theta, do you understand what I'm saying? In the phi is equal to constant plane, it comprises of all the vertical planes. In that, you take two perpendicular vertical planes, mutually perpendicular vertical planes. Find out. So what is delta theta 1? Delta theta are two perpendicular angular separations of spherical cap through the North Pole. Delta theta 1 and delta theta 2 will be 30 degrees into 2, 60 degrees. Do you understand this? 30 degrees into 2. Hello? Hello?
Sir, can you re-explain the second method, please?
Second method. See, if you plot, see the he has given pattern is there is a pattern in the this thing. The pattern there is a lobe in the theta direction. See, it is like this. A spherical cap in the theta direction. Has a diagram is there here. So it is like this, a spherical cap in the theta direction. You just see. Okay. Just it is joined here. Now you have two planes. See this is the vertical phi is equal to constant is a vertical plane, and you can take two mutually perpendicular planes. One is like this, one is like this. Can you take it? These are two mutually perpendicular planes. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Two mutually perpendicular. See, these are two mutually perpendicular. You take a cross section like this. You take a cross section like this. So here you get this limit is 30 degrees. 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 So the delta theta 1 is the total width is 30 into 2. Here delta theta 2 is 30 into 2. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
All of you agree with me? Very difficult to explain.
Sir, I did not understand.
See, here said spherical cap of 30 degrees. So this is that spherical cap. Now what is 30 degrees? See, this is the z-axis and this angle is 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. Now if you take this is one plane in one plane, you can take a plane. This is one plane, okay? This is one plane. You can take a perpendicular plane like this. Perpendicular plane. In the phi is equal to constant plane only, you can take another perpendicular plane. And there it is 30 degrees, 30 degrees. So both are vertical planes. Both are vertical planes. And you have taken two mutually perpendicular planes. They are 30 degrees. So 30 into 2, 60 degrees. 30 into 2, 60 degrees. Have you got it? Theta 1, 2. Theta 1 and theta 2. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Clear, no? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
See, this is 30 degrees, this is 30 degrees, this is 30 degrees, this is 30 degrees. So 30 into 2, 60 degrees. So, okay, I'll just tell you. So, first method you have seen exactly. Approximate method, omega A is approximately equal to delta theta 1 into delta theta 2, where delta theta 1 and delta theta 2 are two perpendicular angular separations of the spherical cap passing through the north pole. I hope you understood now. Compare the two. So both theta 1 and theta 2 is equal to 60 degrees. You have to multiply in radians. If you want this theta 1 and delta theta 1 and delta theta 2, you have to multiply in radians. You can't multiply in degrees. So you see here. Can you make out? So you said your answer was wrong. You said some 3 point something, no? So actually omega A exact is 0.8355566. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Please go through this slide. I will not explain. I have already explained. So elemental solid angle and solid angle, you know. When there is a spherical cap, you will get a solid angle. Okay, it is 9:30. I will give to 5 minutes break. Okay, then we will start. You just go through. If you have any 5 minutes is for clearing doubts. Okay, 5 minutes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Will we ever be using the approximation ever in our calculations later?
See this there is one this thing like in a later this thing we will use some approximation for finding that solid angle. We will use in one of the formulas we will use approximation. I'll come to that bit later. Now this is just what is discussed in the textbook, so that I am presenting what is there in the slide. Okay. See certain things. I will tell you something. See, there are some very big derivations. Okay, in this antenna subject, I may not be able to do the derivations on using this presentation, because I can't write properly on a blank this thing. It is difficult to do. So I will do the derivation part. I will just take a photo and make a PDF file and send it to you. We are going to save a lot of time in that. So if you have, because lengthy writing lengthy derivations will be very difficult. Hello, are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And it will be very boring for you also. There is nothing much technical in the derivation, but we are using this Maxwell's equation and all this. Maxwell's equation, if you have any questions, you can let me know. I will tell you. We are using Maxwell's equation, we are going to derive the expression for fields. So equations are very lengthy, but there is not much technical. Just for using the Maxwell's equation and manipulating it, you will get the equations for the electric fields. So I may not be able to draw write it on the screen. Okay, very difficult. So I will take the image. I have the notes, my notes. I will take a photo, make it a PDF file, and share it with you. So I will tell you which one you have to refer the notes. So accordingly, you please go through the notes. And come back to me if you have any questions.
So there is lot of error between the exact and approximate method
Yes,
also.
yes. But this is what has been accepted. This is what has been accepted. There is an error. There is a lot of error, I know. But still it is what taken as an approximate method.
Okay, sir.
Any doubt? Any other doubts? So 2 minutes, then I will start the. I think you have gone through this file, no? It is already uploaded. You are able. PPT. So okay, I will take the attendance later. I will take later. So have you seen this file in these things in the Teams uploaded?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, we have to do a lot of derivations and problems, which is not practical here very much. I will share the problems and solutions and the derivations. Okay, we'll continue.
So can you please give another example to visualize theta 1 and theta 2?
Sine theta if you take, see here actually, I will, sorry, cost, I'll come back to it later, okay, after some, maybe next class I'll come back with another example.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes.
So we have seen this. Next, radiation power density, radiation intensity. Okay. Now, till now we have been. I was telling you, although he has not mentioned, I've been telling you only fields, electric field. Now we are coming to power. Okay. So we have two this thing for that. Two different parameters. One is radiation power density. Now, what do you understand by radiation power density? What do you think is the dimensions Radiation power density. Have you come across the radiation power density? Radiation power density is basically power per unit area. So what is power per unit area? E cross H, if you do E cross H, what you will get? If you do E cross H, E volts per meter into current per meter. So watts per meter square. So that is power density. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
And what is radiation intensity? Okay, radiation intensity is power per unit solid angle. Power in a given direction, power per unit solid angle is radiation intensity. Power per unit area is radiation power density. Power per unit solid angle is radiation intensity. Radiation power density is power per unit area. Okay, meter square. Radiation intensity is power per unit solid angle. That is watts per steradian. Steradian, right? Units of solid angle is steradian. So you now will explain once. So what is this W? W, if you take a rectangular coordinate system, it can be a function of x, y, z, and t. Function of space and time. Okay. So it is E of xyz into t and h of xyz into t. Now what is this small w? Small w is instantaneous power density. You can understand w is power density, right? You can understand that. Power density, power per unit area. You can understand that, no? Power density is w. Are you getting it? Because why? It is E cross H. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what is this? This is small w into small e. So is equal to small e into small h cross small h. What is small e represents? Small e represents instantaneous value. Small e represents instantaneous value. Small h, instantaneous value of h, and small w, instantaneous value of power density. If you multiply instantaneous value of electric, if you do the cross product of instantaneous value of electric field with the instantaneous of magnetic field, you will get instantaneous value of power density. Okay. So how do we get instantaneous value of E? Instantaneous can be function of x, y, z. T is real part of complex notation of E, x, y, z into e raised power of j omega t. Okay. See, now I'll tell you one thing. AC source, for example, AC source is there. You can represent it is, I'll just take a pen. Say AC source is there. The equation is, say, V naught sine omega t. Omega t. This is an AC source, right? Say V is equal to V naught sine omega t. Now what kind of representation it is? What kind of representation? It is instantaneous value of V, voltage. Or now, okay, V is equal to instantaneous. I will take it as, instead of taking sine, plus 1 second, just give me.
Sir, you are muted.
Okay. So are you able to get what I'm saying now when I explained? No?
No, sir, you were muted.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize. Okay. Till where I have stopped? Tell me where I have stopped. Where you were last able to hear me?
So V naught cos omega t, it's the instantaneous representation of amplitude.
Instantaneous. So
Sir, again you are muted.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir. You're muted again.
no, I'm not muting it. It's suddenly happening. I don't know why. Okay.
Sir, I think somebody else is muting you. So maybe like in the next meeting, you should make everybody else an attendee so that we cannot mute others.
Okay. So V naught. Okay. We will see now. You are able to. If I am going mute, you tell me. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
small v is the instantaneous representation of voltage. How do we write it in complex notation? If you write in complex notation, see, v small v is equal to real part of the complex notation. What is complex notation? V e to the power of j omega t. J omega t. So how do we get instantaneous representation? Instantaneous representation is real part of complex notation. Have you got it? Instantaneous representation is real part of complex notation. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
So that's what is explained here. Instantaneous value is real part of the complex notation of E x, y, z into e raised to the power of j omega t. Similarly, instantaneous H is real part of complex notation of H. Because they are time, now this time dependence is always e raised to the power of j omega t. Because they are sinusoidal signals. All AC source can be treated as sinusoidal or cosine signals. Okay, all AC source can be treated as sine or cosine. So these are time harmonic signals. Time harmonic signals have time dependence as e to the power of j omega t. Have you understood this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So any questions on this slide? Any questions? Any questions you have?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'll go to the next slide. So you understood what is instantaneous W, instantaneous E, instantaneous H, how to get instantaneous value of E. So basically real part of complex notation. Okay. I'll erase. Okay. Now, see, we can derive the expression for instantaneous W, which is equal to instantaneous E cross instantaneous H. See, instantaneous W is instantaneous E cross instantaneous H. Now, we can show that instantaneous W is given by this. After some manipulation, we can do this. This 2.7, equation 2.7, I'm not going to derive this. I will upload it to your website, to the Teams. Okay, I'll upload it in Teams. Okay, is it okay? Now instantaneous W is given by this expression. Have you got it? This you have to accept now because I have not given the derivation of this. I will pass it on to you later. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how do we get average power density from instantaneous power density? How do we get average power density? How do we get average power density from instantaneous power density? You have to instantaneous power density into dt, integration 0 to capital T. So, okay, do you understand? Average power density is instantaneous power density into dt, integration 1 by t 0 to t. See, 1 by, you average it, 1 by t 0 to t instantaneous w into dt. Okay, have you got it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So that is represented by capital W XYZ average. Okay, and that is equal to half into real part of E cross H star. This part will not contribute any average power. Why? This part will not contribute because it is J2 omega t, cos 2 omega t or sin 2 omega t. If you integrate, it will be 0 over one period. Average value will be 0. Okay, have you got it? Hello? Hello?
Sir,
Yes,
could
sir.
you please repeat your last sentence?
See, I am now working on, I am trying to find out what is average power density. That is average. See, this average value of instantaneous value. So that is written as XYZ. So how do we get average value? Average value is instantaneous 1 by t integration 0 to capital 1 by capital T integration 0 to capital T instantaneous power density into dt. Okay, that's how we take the average for one period. We know what is we try to and divide by the total time period. So when you do that integration, see this part it has two parts. Instantaneous value has two parts like this. When you do the integration, this part becomes 0 average value because it is 2 omega t cos 2 omega t sin 2 omega t. If you integrate for one period, it will be 0.
Yes, sir.
So average power density is given by this expression. Half into real part of E cross S star. Average power density is given by this expression. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
That is, you are taken for granted equation 2.7 is real. I mean, it's true. 2.7 equation 2. You don't know equation 2.7. You are not derived this equation. I will pass it on to the give it to you through notes. Upload it. Okay, but you have to accept this for now till further I tell you. Okay, so instantaneous W power density is half into real part of E cross H star. How do we get H star from H? How do you get H? E, you know. Complex notation E, you know. How do you get H? How do you get H star? From H?
Complex conjugate.
Yeah. In the H expression, in the expression for H, if you want to get complex conjugate of H, you have to replace J by minus J. Wherever J is there, how do you get complex conjugate? J is replaced by minus J. Right, no?
Yes, sir.
So finally, what I'm going to conclude is power density average value is given by half into real part of E cross S star. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of this finding out power density? What is the advantage? See, we can find out what is the total power radiated by an antenna. How? From the power density. How? P radiation, for example, I'll tell you. Total power radiated by the antenna, P rad, for example, I'll call it as P radiated. P rad. How do we get from the power density? You have to do double integration. Double integration. W average. W average into what? Into what? Hello, are you getting me?
Sir, is it differential area of the sphere?
Yeah, you have to take into elemental area. What is elemental area? R square, R square, sin theta, R square sin theta,
d phi.
Sin theta, d theta, d phi. What is the limits? Theta is equal to
0
theta
to
is
pi.
0 to pi. And phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi. You understood, no? So what is the use of power density? Power density we can find out from E cross H. Then average it. So you know the average expression for power density. So that if you do R square multiply with the elemental area and take the limits. For when you take complete sphere, what happens is the antenna is totally enclosed. When you take the complete sphere, the antenna is totally enclosed. Right, no? So you are going to capture all the power radiated by the antenna. If you do partial integration, you will not get the total power radiated by the antenna. Do you understand this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, okay. So can we proceed? So what is the use of density, average power density, you understood. How do you get average power density from power density? From instantaneous power density. How to get average power density from instantaneous power density. And how to get P rate, that is radiated power of an antenna. So radiated power density is AV, real part of, so it is always real power. P rate is always a real power, not reactive power, because real part of E cross S star we are taking. Okay. So I will just, can I go to the next slide? Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
So spatial variation of power density. Okay, I didn't mention about half, that half. Why that half comes into picture? See, real part of E cross S star. Why that half comes into picture is this E and H are the magnitude. We are taking the magnitude, but what we have to take is in electric circuits, you know, RMS value of V into RMS value of I. Vi cos theta, RMS value of V into RMS value of I. So since E, we are magnitude is there, we are taking half of it, because 1 by root 2 into 1 by root 2 is half. Is it understood? Half. Why that half comes into picture?
Yes, sir.
So instantaneous average is this given by this into half. The half is because we have to actually multiply RMS value of E and RMS value of H. That's why. It is assumed that E and H represents peak amplitude values, not RMS, root mean square. If E and H were to represent RMS values, then 1/2 must be omitted. Measuring instruments typically measure RMS values. Equation is analogous to Ohm's law. P is equal to half into VI square, where V and I represents peak, not RMS value. So if you are representing E and H by its peak values, then you have to introduce this half. If you are representing E and H by RMS value, then this half need not be there. Have you understood?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are foundations, okay? These what we are developing equations are foundations for the next chapters, because we have to compute what is the power radiated by the antenna and all those things. So these are the foundations. What is power density? What is radiation intensity and all those things? How do you find out the power radiated by the antenna? So how do you get power? Power is W dot ds. That's what is given here. The ds direction of area is AR cap R square. Instead, the direction of W also is in the R direction. E cross H is in the R direction, because why? E and H are transverse. In the far field, and direction of E cross H is normal to E and H. Do you understand? In the far field, E and H are transverse, because I told you yesterday in the class, the ER and HR in the far field, ER and HR components will be 0. ER and HR components will be 0. Do you understand? Hello? So direction of E cross W will be also in the R direction. Direction of W will also be in the R direction. So E cross H dot AR . So this is what I explained. So you can see elemental area is R square sine theta d theta d phi. So dot product. So can you see this? Can you understand this equation 2.9? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Am I getting the same type of voice that I receive? Because your voice, you are not able to immediately respond to what I'm saying.
So we can hear you properly.
Okay. W average. Now an example is given. W average. W average is W rad. It is called radiated power. It's W average is always called as W rad. Capital average radiated power density is AR cap. It's given. This expression is given. How to find out the power radiated? AR cap A naught sin theta by R square. P average. W average, P average, P radiated is equal to W average into dot ds. So direction of area is AR cap R square sin theta d phi. This is W average. This is W average. He has given that. He has given here. Okay. So P average, P rate. So is it understood? This equation, this how do you? Is it understood? P rate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I go to the next slide? This is an example.
Yes,
This is an example. He has given average as this W expression. A naught sin theta by R square. Now, next. Intensity U, radiation intensity. See, I said radiation power density and radiation intensity. Power density and radiation intensity. Power density is radiation radiation intensity is denoted by U. Now what is this equal to? U is equal to, how do you define radiation intensity? Radiation intensity is defined as power radiated in a given direction. Radiation intensity is power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. Okay. So how do we find out? Power radiated, see, U is equal to Just 1 second. Just give me time. Okay. See, power radiated in a given direction. How do you find out power radiation in a given direction? Okay, so you have WAV is equal into area. Area is R square sin theta R square sin theta d phi. Okay, so U is equal to power radiated. This is U. Okay, power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. Power radiated in a given direction is this WAV into R square sin theta d phi per unit solid angle. Per units, what is the solid angle? Sin theta d phi. So this cancels with this. So WAV into R square, that is U. It is called radiation intensity. Have you understood this? Power, what is radiation? Power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. Radiation intensity is power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. So power radiated in a given direction, you do multiply WAV into area in that direction. Area means elemental area. R square sin theta d phi per unit solid angle. Sin theta d phi. This two cancels. WAV into R square. Have you understood this? Hello, somebody said no? Anybody?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay. Radiation intensity U is defined as power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. So U will vary from point to point. U will vary from point to point. Okay. U is applicable to a point. Power radiated in a given direction per unit solid angle. Okay, is this, can I go to the next slide? I think you have to know this, how we got this R square into W average. So that is shown here now. That is shown here. Is it okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, many are not in the presentation, I think, no? They are not, they just left, otherwise there is no response as such. Okay, power density. power per area, watts per meter square. Radiation intensity is power per solid angle, omega. Omega is solid angle. D omega is elemental solid angle. Omega is solid angle. Watts per steradian. Power density is. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now there is a problem. He has given U. U is equal to R square. That problem he had given. It can be worked out in another way also. Find U. U is equal to R square into W rate. W rate, okay. So W rate equation, same problem. W rate expression was given. How to solve, get power in terms of U from U. U is equal to R square into W rate, R square into, this is W rate given in the example, W rate. So it is A naught sine theta. Now if you want to find P rate, here instead of D elemental area, you do elemental solid angle. U into D omega. Instead of doing elemental area, you do elemental solid angle. U into D omega, U into sine theta, d phi. 0 to pi, 0 to 2 pi. So this will completely enclose the antenna when you take these limits. So you get P rate as A pi square, A naught pi square. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next slide. So this is another example, sine squared theta by R squared. So you get this. Previous was sine theta by R squared. This is sine squared theta by R squared. Okay. So now you should be in a position to, given W or U, you should be able to find the power radiated. Can I go to the next slide? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Isotropic source. Now, isotropic source, power is W naught because it has no pattern. Isotropic source, it is uniform, same throughout whatever direction you take. So power density is same in all points. Power density on a surface of a sphere, power density is same. Whatever point you take, power density for isotropic source, power density, because it has no pattern, it is same. So total power divided by 4 pi R square should be the power density at any point. Total power radiated divided by 4 pi R square. Why? Total surface area of the sphere will give expression for power density at any point on the surface of the sphere. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
And for isotropic source, radiation intensity U naught, U is equal to U naught, is equal to power divided by 4 pi. Total radiated power P by 4 pi. Why 4 pi? Because total solid angle in a sphere is 4 pi. Total solid angle in a sphere is 4 pi. So, 1 second. So total power in a solid angle is 4 pi. So total power radiated by 4 pi will give radiation intensity at any point on the surface of the sphere. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, if it is not isotropic, U can be U naught, some B naught sine theta or cos theta like that. Here, for isotropic source, U is equal to U naught, constant value, and that is equal to P by 4 pi. For isotropic source, WAV is equal to W naught, P by 4 pi R square. WAV can vary from point to point. WAV can vary from point to point on the surface of the sphere, whereas U also can vary from point to point on the surface of the sphere. U also can vary from point to point, and W also, AV can also vary from point to point on the surface of the sphere. But for isotropic source, WAV is constant, U also is constant. So it is equal to W naught and U naught respectively. Have you understood? These things are very, very important.
Yes.
So how do we get that P rate by 4 pi r squared? You can see this P rate. I hope you understand this. You just go through. When you are finished going through this slide, tell me yes, then I will continue. Okay, can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these things we have seen already. There is nothing to explain here. We have already seen this power per unit solid angle. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ah. Okay, see these things again. I think you'll understand this. P rate is nothing but P average. U sin theta d theta d phi. You know this. Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Half power beam width, first null beam width. I hope you can SPBW I have explained enough yesterday's class. You know what is SPBW?
Yes, sir.
Half power points of the main lobe. Half power points of the main lobe. Okay, I have told you about radiation pattern normalized value, how to use absolute value, normalized value. So you know that. Okay, first null beam width also you can vary the angle between nulls, first nulls on either side of the maxima. First null beam width is the angle between the nulls of first nulls of the maxima. Okay, now here is an example what he has given. U of theta phi is equal to cos squared theta into cos squared 3 theta. The pattern is like this. 3dV U of theta phi. It is not E, it is U of theta phi. It is not electric field pattern, it is power pattern. U is a power pattern. Can you agree with me? U is a power pattern. U is not amplitude pattern. U. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
U is a power pattern, it is not an amplitude pattern. So U of theta phi is given to be cos squared theta, cos squared 3 theta. The pattern is like this, three-dimensional pattern. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Half power beam width and first null beam width we have to find out. So this is a normalized pattern because maximum value is equal to 1. This is a normalized pattern. You can see the maximum value is 1. Okay. So how do you, he has given HP beta